Today's training presentation is entitled Screening. We're going to talk about one of the most fundamental concepts in basketball, screens. So a screen is legal action by any player without causing contact that delays or prevents an opponent from reaching a desired position. Screening is defined in the following rule sets. For National Federation High School, Rule 4-40. For NCAA Women, Rule 10, Section 5. Also, information can be found on the appendix, page 113. For NCAA Men, Rule 4, Section 35, in the appendix, pages 108 and 109. This is the definition screen from the National Federation High School Rulebook. Let's highlight this very important rule. Essentially, we have three categories of opponents to be screened. Stationary opponents from the front or side, stationary opponents from behind, and moving opponents. In short, these are the requirements for screening these opponents. Stationary opponents from the front or side can be screened anywhere short of contact. Stationary opponents from behind must be allowed one normal step. Moving opponents must be allowed time and distance to avoid contact or change direction. It is important that we know this screen rule. We're going to look at 4 plays that feature screens that are legal. In this play, white 33 will set 2 screens. The first screen is against the moving opponent. The second screen is also against the moving opponent. White 33 sets a good screen such that his arms and legs are in his legal screening plane. He allows his moving opponent time and opportunity to avoid contact and change direction. In this play, white 33 will set 2 screens. The first screen is against a moving opponent. The second screen is also against a moving opponent. White 33 sets a good screen that again his arms and legs are in his legal screening play. He allows his moving opponent time and opportunity to avoid contact and change direction. In this play, white 33 sets a screen near the end line. Despite the fact that his left leg is outside his screening plane, he does not displace the opponent. Later in the play, he sets a particular type of screen called a seal to prevent his defender from helping on the ball handler dribbler. A seal is a post-up designed to be used as a screen on one's own defender. In setting the seal, he does not grab or hold his defender. In this play, white 44 sets a screen against a moving opponent. He allows his moving opponent time and opportunity to avoid contact and change direction. Later in the play, he sets a seal to prevent his defender from helping on the ball handler dribbler. In setting the seal, he does not grab or hold his defender. Now let's take a look at some plays which feature illegal screens or illegal contact by the screener. Initially, white 51 will set a legal screen. Later in the play, the primary defender moves to stay with the ball handler dribbler. White 51 displaces the primary defender. Our trail correctly calls the team control foul on white 51. White 25 attempts to set a screen against a moving opponent. While the primary defender attempts to keep up with the ball handler dribbler, white 25 displaces her by extending her shoulder, leg, and arm outside her legal screening plane. The trail correctly calls the team control foul on white 25. Blue 2 will set two screens in this play. On both occasions, Blue 2 extends his leg and shoulder outside of his legal screening plane. He displaces moving opponents on both occasions. These are illegal screens which needed to be called. White 2 will set a screen in this play. White 2 extends his leg and shoulder outside of his legal screening plane. He displaces a moving opponent. This is an illegal screen which needed to be called. Initially, green 51 sets a legal screen. Later in the play, the primary defender moves to stay with the ball handler dribbler. White 51 hooks and holds the arm of the primary defender. This is a team control foul that needed to be called. Let's review. Remembering some important things about screens. Screens are legal action by any player without causing contact that delays or prevents an opponent from reaching the desired position. Do you notice something in this paraphrased version of the definition that you will find in the rule? It doesn't say that it's limited to just offensive players. In fact, when we look at the definition further, a screen can be set by an offensive player or a defensive player. Remember, we have three categories of opponents to be screened. Stationary opponents from the front or side, stationary opponents from behind, and moving opponents. Remember, stationary opponents from the front or side can be screened anywhere short of contact. Stationary opponents from behind must be allowed one normal step. And moving opponents must be allowed time and distance to avoid contact or change direction. Some important things to remember about screening from an officiating standpoint. Whenever a screener sets a legal screen, they are sometimes vulnerable to contact from primary defenders and even secondary defenders. So remember, we must officiate screeners correctly. If they are displaced, we must have a foul on the person that displaces the screener. We must not allow players, particularly defensive players, to hold, hook, and use illegal contact against the screener such that the screener does not have freedom of movement. This is something that is stated clearly in Article 8 of this rule via the National Federation High School Rulebook. It states that a player may not use the arms, hands, hips, or shoulders to force through a screen or to hold the screener and then push the screener aside in order to maintain a guarding position on an opponent. Also remember that screeners must stay within the confines of their vertical plane, aka their screening plane. They cannot extend hands, shoulders, legs, feet outside of their legal screening plane such that it contacts an opponent to the point where that opponent is displaced and loses their rhythm, speed, balance, or quickness. Such contact that displaces a opponent trying to defend someone also must be called. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. We hope you gain some valuable insight into screening from a player, coaching, and officiating perspective. Again, thank you for spending part of your day with us. Have a great day, great week, great month, great year.